Finally, I'm on my first river cruise since the lockdown, and I'm not even home yet, and already people are sending me messages asking me, what's it like? And by what's it like, what they really mean is my guest experience changed by COVID protocols? The great news for everyone is that if at home you're already out there participating in society, a lot of the things you're already doing at home are going to be the same life you're leading here on an Avalon river cruise in the south of France, except of course you have the pleasure of being on a river cruise and in the south of France. When we checked in to the Avalon Poetry 2, of course we did the usual signing up, but in addition we also showed our proof of vaccination. Proof of vaccination is required on all Avalon river cruises through the end of 2022. When you're traveling around the ship, it's just like being at home, at a restaurant, or in shops. So many places already require you to wear a mask at home. It's the same thing here. While you're in transit moving around the ship, you're wearing a mask. As soon as you sit down in the lounge to eat or drink, you can remove the mask and enjoy life just like you normally do. There are some plexiglass barriers in some of the lounges to help create separation for groups of people who are bubbled together while they're traveling. And I think people have become quite used to seeing plexiglass between you and a desk, somebody behind a desk, and between some places in seats in restaurants at home. And it's exactly the same thing here. One thing that's interesting is that at breakfast every morning as you enter the breakfast dining room, they take your temperature, and that's just an added protocol that they take to be extra cautious, and it takes about half a second while the maitre d' is greeting you. Contrary to rumors, buffets are not dead. Now, some river and in fact ocean cruise lines have said they're doing away with the buffet, or they're going to make dining stations that are staffed, but here on Avalon Waterways at least, the buffet is still here for breakfast and lunch, and people just resume their masks to go up to the buffet. And this is where I want to point out that generally the health protocols don't feel restrictive. It really, in so many ways, it really feels like they're taking extra care of you. And here's a lovely moment I had, for example. Wearing my mask, I went into the dining room for lunch one day, sat down, removed my mask, we were served our drinks, went to resume my mask to go up to the buffet. Of course, couldn't find the mask. Digging around in the bottom of my handbag, as one does, couldn't find it, and the maitre d', though, had seen what I was doing. Instead, suddenly he was right there by my side, and he offered me a mask because he saw I was struggling finding my mask. And so really, as I said, more about guest services. It was a really lovely moment. It was such a nice touch, and I was so appreciative of that. Coming and going from the ship, of course, you're wearing your mask in transit, and you wear your mask when you depart the ship, and many people who've river cruised before are used to handing over your key card. They swipe it, so then you know, are you on the ship or on you're off the ship? And of course, there have always been hand sanitizing stations when you board and disembark a ship. That hasn't changed at all, but what they've done is they put it together along with a touchless system. So you sanitize your hands, you have a touchless system so that you can register, oh, you're off the ship or you're on the ship, and nobody else has to touch your card but you, and you can sanitize your hand, so even if you've touched the screen, everything is safe. On-shore excursions, of course, on the coach if you're traveling to the coach, not if you're walking around outside, of course, but if you're traveling in a coach or a vehicle to get to the shore excursion, you're asked to wear a mask, which is quite normal for transit, I think, at home for most people. And once you arrive, here's another part that really illustrates why it's so great to travel with a river cruise or a group where there is an operator who's taking care of so many of the details for you. Once we handed over our vaccination certificates, behind the scenes, the Avalon team were just working non-stop. So in fact, for our shore excursions, our proof of vaccination had already been communicated to the places where we were going to be going indoors, that you would be, according to French law, be asked to show proof of vaccination. But because we had already shown it to Avalon Waterways, they had it on file, they were able to communicate that. So we didn't have to stop every time we were going in and out. For example, on a food tour in Lyon, we went in and out of so many lovely little restaurants and places, and not once did we have to stop and line up and start showing proof of vaccination. That had already been taken care of for us, which felt, again, so taken care of. It was so easy, it was so smooth. So you may have heard that on many European airlines, masks, our lovely fabric masks. Lots of people now have a collection of stylish ones that go with their outfits. But those masks are not allowed on some European airlines. Only surgical masks are allowed. But once you're here in France and on board the ship, bring out that collection of fabric masks again. And again, such a lovely touch. So Avalon offers this complimentary mask laundering. So at any time through the cruise, you could get within 24 hours fresh new mask, which is not only, of course, more healthy, that mask has now been laundered, but also it just gives you, again, that lovely feeling of being well served and having that lovely fresh mask to proceed on your trip. Which brings me to the very sad time when you actually have to return home. Both Americans and Canadians require negative COVID tests to board the planes and re-enter their countries, and Avalon Waterways not only arranges for those tests for its guests, it also covers the costs, which is quite a wonderful service. And for those who just need an antigen test, it happens right on the ship in the aft lounge where there's coffee and tea and cookies all times of the day. So it's very pleasant. You just go in and it's a quick swab in the nose. That's not bad, is it? And then you get the results sent to you by email, so you have it right there available digitally, and you can add to your files to make going home very easy. So anyone who's still maybe on the edge and wondering if they should or shouldn't book travel to Europe this fall, I can say absolutely that COVID protocols shouldn't be standing in your way. You will feel very much like being at home, and really a sense of being well served and well taken care of and really safe and protected and welcomed by all the protocols and the people and, of course, the staff here on Avalon Waterways.